last week I was doing an introduction talk about my father and my relationship. So today's Father's Day. I was thinking about that. My father, unfortunately, he has moderate to advanced degree of dementia, and he can no longer function, the way we all do, and he's already completely dependent on other people to care. And one of the things that I noticed that when I visited him last time is that he's starting to forget who I am, that I'm his son. And he said, "Oh, nice to meet you." So being a grumpy man that he was, and he's actually turned out to be a pretty pleasant and nice old man. And he's actually, we would start off with, being introduction, casual talk, and sort of me reminiscing or sort of goes back and forth, sort of feeling guilty, feeling sad, and everything else. And one of the questions I had was, we in our school we often talk about self or lack of self, big I, little I, and the memory of who we are that's kind of, in essence, that's who we are. But in the case of my father, he doesn't have memory of much of anything. So without memory, my question is, what is he, or who is he? So when the memory is gone, where is that self? Is kind of, I've been struggling with that. Does he have that self inside somewhere? We talk about, when we all pass, where does the self go? And sort of I'm starting to question in that intermediate stage of not knowing who he is, but where is him? Where is his self or true self?
Gigi, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
What do you call him?
Well, Dad.
You call him Dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otosan, which is in Japanese.
Say it again.
Otosan.
Otosa.
Yeah.
Is that what you call him?
I call him Otosan.
Otosa? Okay. So
in Japan.
So Taiji, you ask me. With no memory, who is he now? You ask me.
With no memory, who is Otosan now?
Okay, then I hit. You say, only that?
Only that.
Otosa, it's so nice to see you again. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, where is their memory? What am I really? What will happen after I die? What happened before I was born? What's my father? Is he a spirit that was sent here to teach me? Am I teaching him? Blah, 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 blah. Me too, Teji. Me too, so much blah, 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 blah going on in my head. Yeah, so much, right? And then it confuses us because what is he? Like, where is he? Blah, blah, blah. And that's human, right? Also, because also, like my dad also is like his diminished mental capacity. So there's a little sadness appears, right? But who he is in this moment is very clear. Yeah, here, let me tell you. You want me to tell you who you say, Colin, who am I in this moment? You ask me.
Who am I?
So nice to see you again. Okay?
Okay. Good. Okay. Could I ask you one more question?
Some people will do anything for a second hug. Go ahead.
Well, Elizabeth was actually saying during the introductory talk that I think she said she has a better relationship with her father now that he has passed.
Uh-huh.
So my own understanding, of course, this is all intellectual, and I think in our school, intellectual, we know that it doesn't matter. But how can she have a better relationship with somebody who's no longer here? I thought the relationship was about two people or things. Anyway, I'm a little confused.
Well, good. Just keep that in mind. Go sit down. I'm sure Elizabeth will give you her number if you want to ask her about it. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, Zen Master Seung Yang, Bobby Rhodes, Elizabeth's teacher, head of our school, patriarch. She told me a story about a little girl who died, who was maybe 11. And the little girl died, and then Bobby was very upset and thought, this is not, life is not fair, this is not fair. How could there be Buddha? How could there be God? If this, she saw the suffering of her parents. So Zen Master Seung Hyung told me this story, and she said to me, and then I realized, I forget the name of the little girl, but she said the little girl, and then I realized so-and-so was just where she had always been. And at the time, I thought, what a lot of intellectual claptrap to spiritually bypass the grief of the little girl dying. But when you ask, Teji, now I see it differently, when you ask, how can Elizabeth have a better relationship with her father now? It's because he's just where he always was. Now, that confuses you. That confuses me. So that's good. When we're not confused, we're in deep trouble. Because I think I know who my father is. And I think he is that person who hurt me so much when I was little. If I act like I'm not confused about who my father is, then I abuse a 93-year-old man. My eyes and my ears and my nose and my tongue and my touch and the objects of my consciousness tell me how everything is right here, right now. If I get caught up in trying to understand what you are or what I am or where we've been or where we're going, right? Honestly, all of that is what the Christians would call sin. That means separation. That means all of that thinking just takes me away from that. Right? Thinking is fun. I like to think. It's fun. I can't stop it. It doesn't matter whether it's fun or not, because it's here, right? But it's just one of the things that is happening. Sometimes I make the mistake of thinking it's all of the things that are happening. You know exactly from here and from here, Teji, when you see your father, you know exactly who he is. Elizabeth knows exactly who her father is. I know exactly who my father is, moment by moment by moment. And if those words that I say confuse you, good, they also confuse me. That's good. Constantly clinging to understanding is a big mistake for me, a big mistake. Yeah. Understanding, it's not that understanding is wrong, it's just understanding, the understanding is illusion, but not understanding is blankness. So what do you understand? Only that? Good. Thank you. Don't know is so much better than a clever answer. Even trying to be clever covers up our true nature. We're all doing this together. We're doing it together. Another question?
As you were talking, it occurred to me that you are, or what I'm hearing is a difference in expectation. And so it occurred to me, how would you define father versus how would you define masculinity in the American culture? And are they aligned? And does it matter?
Yeah, you tell me, does it matter?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Thank you for your teaching. So, Karen, when you and I ask questions like, what does masculinity mean? What does father mean in this culture, right? Especially in this particular time in our culture, what is underneath those questions? Like, in fact, let me ask you, what's underneath those questions for you? What is it in you that causes you to ask those questions?
Because I feel as if, like what I've been hearing from others in this room about my own father, that there's a disconnect between what I was expecting and what I got, right? And so trying to connect those two pieces.
Why? Why do you want to connect those two pieces?
For my own peace.
See, let me take you one more step further. It's not just your peace, but peace probably for your father and everybody around you too, right? What makes you, what is it in you that wants peace for yourself and everybody around you?
What is it in me that wants peace for everyone around me?
And you. For all of us, I think.
The human condition? I don't know.
Not to choose a word for you, but I might say love or compassion. That there is something in me that can't reconcile my expectation of my father with the reality of my father. And there's some tension to reconcile those two things so that I can return to the place of love and compassion. Does that feel like?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you ask a question, and this is just my opinion, this has to do with my take on politics in this country, and I'm going to tell you this, but I hope it won't divide us, because I do not myself divide myself from others when I say this, but I tend towards more liberal points of view. Mm-hmm. But that does not separate me from people who tend towards more conservative point of view, because that place of wanting to be human and wanting to be loved, I think exists in all of us. It's the driving force in all of us. It gets twisted and turned and all sorts of things, but so I'm telling you that I'm telling you that I have more liberal or progressive points of view, but I'm just telling you that not because I need to identify with it or not because I want to separate us, but so that you understand what I'm about to say, right? So I tend to get involved in conversations like what is toxic versus divine masculinity? What's true fatherhood versus false fatherhood? I tend to be in conversations like that. And the thing about them is when you said, or doesn't it matter, there's something about it I think that matters, but the thing that this is my view, right? The thing, and it doesn't have to be your view, but I think the thing about that conversation that matters the most is the love and the desire to atone at one, come together, find a way where we can understand and be at peace with each other, right? Sometimes we get stuck in with the masculinity versus fatherhood versus patriarchy, blah, blah, blah. We get stuck in the terms and an argument about the terms and who's right and who's wrong. So what I'm saying is the conversation is important to me as long as it's touching base with where the conversation is coming from. Why are we having the conversation? Why are we, I say we collectively, why are we protesting in Los Angeles? Why? This is very important. Because if I am not careful, I'm protesting to show them, I'll show them or so my side can win, or so that so that people I think are deserving can get what they deserve. I have to be careful. It's very sticky. Yeah. I have some expectations about how but you have to be careful. These are my expectations. They are my thoughts, right? I have some expectations and thoughts and ideas. If you're welcome to stand, but if you'd be more comfortable sitting, you're welcome to sit. Those are my expectations and my thoughts about who my father should have been, right? And there's absolutely nothing he can do to change those thoughts and those expectations. This is where this teaching, right? If you want to understand if you want to understand the minds of the Buddhas past, present, and future, you must view the nature of the entire universe as created by mind alone. I create bad father, right? So, with that creation comes some sort of hurt. It's not that I should just be like, care has to be taken around these things. And by the way, I noticed that I said, I create bad father. I didn't say you do, I said I do. Like, this is for you to figure out for yourself. It's not for me to tell you about you and your father, but I'm telling you about me and my father. My father just only exists here. The word, because as soon as I say father, that's mine, right? Bad father is mine, right? So how do I atone in the face of that thinking, right? So sometimes if I'm not careful, I just be like, I made bad father, put it all down, hit. I'm not going to have any more feelings. That doesn't work like that either, for me, in me, right? But what does help me is to see that, just to know, wait, there is something around that I made bad father, right? There is something around understanding that it's up to me to heal and take what actions and have what conversations I need to heal. There's something about like healing that hurt, which is important. But at the same time, understanding that where is the healing of the hurt, the desire to heal the hurt coming from, which is what we talked about, this human place, this love place, this compassion place. Because we don't want to, I think, I'm saying it now, maybe I'll say something else different. It feels helpful to say it now. We don't want to be at odds with each other. It's not even true. We can't. The truth is, we cannot, fundamentally, we cannot and are never at odds with each other. We cannot be. It's impossible. It is impossible for us to be at odds with each other. We are operating and arising together at all times, but we make the mistake of forgetting that. Another question? It's good to have a question because it stops me from going on. Oh no.
Might be an easy question. So when I'm thinking in terms of my parents, and then as we all do, we have this idea of that they did this and that was good, or they did that and that was bad. Yeah. But when we practice and when I'm kind of doing orientation, I'm talking in terms of technique. Yeah. You know, you sit and you just return back to this moment and that sort of thing. So I was wondering if you could talk about how we label these things of the good and bad, and how if we can kind of get away from that, that can kind of help our way that we think of our parents. Because our parents, there's always something that they did that we think is bad.
Yes.
Okay. But there's also...
Let's do this in real time.
Yes.
Your question, was it good or bad?
They're standing here asking you a question.
Right. So So I'm playing with Kwan Heng Sanim, not patronizing him, of course, because he's my senior teacher. And
The answer is quite.
yes, his answer is really important. So when Kwan Heng Sanim says,
Shall I sit down?
yeah, you may. So, Kwan Heng Sanim said, we have ideas that something that a parent did was bad or something that a parent did was good, right? And then he said, how do you practice with that? And then I said, let's do it right here. Let me show you right here and right now. And I said, your question, good or bad? And he said, I'm standing here asking you a question, right? This is very, very important. I was going to say this is very, very important teaching, but it's not teaching. It's what Elizabeth said. Everything is just like this, right? So he asked me his question. His question is not good or bad, and it's not good nor not bad. His question is just his question, right? My father is just my father, right? So sitting or practicing or feeling judgment, right? There's a technique for me. These are techniques for me. Okay, there's different. One is sometimes there are different types of medicine for different parts of ourselves. So thinking sickness needs thinking medicine. So my father is bad. Well, I can treat that thinking with some different kind of thinking. Like, oh no, my father decided to incarnate as a soul and took on the great hardship of deliberately being mean to me so that I could learn. That's a thinking medicine, right? It means that thinking medicine, the job of thinking medicine, like that is to say, find an opposite story, is just to loosen the thinking a little, right? Just, oh wait, maybe that thinking is not right. Then, a deeper medicine is not thinking medicine. Not thinking medicine is my father, good or bad. Just means at that moment when you say, no good, no bad, just this here, right? So in practice, let's say, I'm sitting. It doesn't have to be sitting. It could be washing the dishes, driving, talking to my father, right? But let's say I'm sitting. I have a memory of my father. I start to, then the feelings are fine, whatever the feelings are. But then I start to think, oh, my dad was bad or my dad was good, right? I start to chase after those thinking. Then I'd be, okay, dad, good or bad? Don't know, right? Once you say, if you're really sincere, dad, good or bad? Like, it's like the Chinese horse. It doesn't mean, do I have good feelings or bad feelings? It just means, dad, good or bad, right? At that moment, we can find no answer. We can find no answer to father, good or bad, right? So that lands us back in don't know. Then, don't know lands us right here. Clear mind means clear perception, means clear thinking, right? So, it means clear action. So don't know means that now we can see what's happening in front of our face and we can deal appropriately with what's happening in front of our face, which is more important than whether dad is good or bad anyway. So to be clear, right, to be simple, dad, good or bad? Like thoughts of bad father or good father. Dad, good or bad? Don't know. Come back here. Then eventually, in 5 seconds or 3 minutes or 3 hours or a year, the story about my father will arise again. Right? Maybe if I'm having a resentment, right, like still, like every 5 seconds while I'm meditating, right, arise again. Father, good or bad? Don't know. Come back, right? Now, this does not mean I will not think about my father. It just means when the thought appears, where did it come from? Don't know. Come back to the floor, right? And you're not, I don't try to stop the thought from arising. It's just that when the thought arises, I see it. Oh, hello. And using this technique, father, good or bad? Don't know. Return to the moment, which means return to just return here. And then the thought arises again. Now, we think that we have to think it all through, but actually what happens in this process of resentment against my father, father, good or bad, don't know. Resentment against my father, father, good or bad, don't know. Not trying to push the thought back down, not judging the thought. Like I'm never saying it's wrong to think that my father is bad. I'm just saying, father, good or bad, don't know, right? Is it wrong to have this thought? Don't know, right? Just means, really, it just means, honestly, it means paradoxically, don't know about the thought is kind of the same as loving the thought. Loving the thought means not having to change it, not having to work with it, not have to do anything with it, just like, oh, there it is, I love it, okay, bye, and then it goes away, okay, that's free, you're free because I love you, you can leave, I'm gonna come back to the floor, like that. And then what happens is, when that happens and we keep seeing it over and over again, it keeps rising up, we see it, Father, good or bad, don't know. We just see it without judgment, then suddenly it transforms. Suddenly that thought, it turns into compassion and wisdom. Because we've just seen it over and over again. We haven't tried to fight it, we haven't attached to it, we haven't clung to it, we haven't analyzed it. We've just seen it, just suddenly, oh, there's that thought. Huh. You know about that thought? You want me to tell you about that thought? You want me to tell you the purpose of that thought? That suffering thought that I have, you ask me, Colin, why do you suffer?
Colin, why do you suffer?
For you. Because I have that thought about my dad over and over again, and I don't judge it, and it goes down, and it transforms. And now I know what it's like when you have that thought about your dad. That's why I have that thought about my dad. You too, not just me. That's why you suffer. Sweet. Sweet. We're doing it together. Another question? Are we done? You look like we might, are we? Oh, come. What are you sorry for?
This is what, my name is Stu.
What is it?
Stu.
Colin. I think you might have, did you ask a question the last time? Were you here the last time I was here?
I don't remember.
Okay. Oh, couldn't me either. We're doing this together.
This concept of don't know.
Yes.
How does one act when one says don't know? How do you act if you don't know?
You ask a question, so I answer.
Don't know. I don't follow that.
You say, I don't follow that. You think, it's funny because, Stu, it's funny because we're taught, or we think, I don't know where it comes from, but I have to know in order to act.
Right.
But pay attention very deeply, it's not so. We just act. Everything just, here it is. It's just here. Like you're gonna, like, did you think to yourself, I better take this breath? Like maybe you had a thought to come up and ask me a question, but even so, did you think to yourself to have a thought to come up and ask me a question?
No.
No. We don't know. Don't know is not a, by the way, you said, I think that this concept of don't know, it's not a concept, it's the most fundamental truth. It's the ground from which all things arise. It's pure quiet. But what's funny is, then when something arises, that's also pure quiet. Yeah. So we think we have to understand, and this is the consolation. What a great question, by the way, Stu, because this is the great consolation of it all, is that we don't have to know. We can't. Not only do we not, we think it's so paradoxical because we think we have to know, but we can't know. But we think we have to know, but we can't know. And then finally when we realize we just don't know, what a relief. Is it better to be, I ask you, is it better to be dead or alive?
This moment, it feels like it's better to be alive.
Feels like,
Yes.
but
Don't know.
thank you, Stu. What a relief. We can relax. Yeah, thank you for your question.
Some last words.
You have some last words?
You have some last
Let me see. My favorite flavor of ice cream is peanut butter. Thank you.
I like chocolate. Okay, thank you for your talk. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Connie.
Okay.